What's up everyone, this is John with Skate Better, and today we are doing the New Balance 508 shoe review. Alright, so welcome to another shoe review. Today I'm going to be reviewing this shoe, which is Brandon Westgate's Pro Model. So the first question I always answer is, why did I pick up this shoe? And the reason is, I'm a really big fan. I'm a big fan of Brandon Westgate. I love his skating and his style. He skates really fast, has really nice pop. And then I'm also a fan of New Balance, and I've skated the 440 in the past, and I really had a good experience with that shoe. So I was itching to try another shoe from New Balance, and this was a cup sole, which I'm also a fan of. So I figured I would give it a shot. The last thing I'd mention, a reason why, is this shoe was on sale for like 55 bucks. I think brand new it's like between 75 and 85 bucks. Don't quote me on that. It's like up in the 80s though, I know that. But I did get a sweet deal on it. So I think you can still find this colorway. It's pretty readily available on sale at a couple different websites. So just Google that and you should be able to find it if you want to pick it up for a sweet deal. Next thing I want to talk about is the size of this shoe. I got an 8.5, which is what I've been skating almost every shoe for the past year. And it was great. The size was perfect. So I would say go with whatever size you normally get your shoes in and you should be okay. Next thing I want to talk about is the shape of this shoe. So particularly the sole is usually what I talk about, the outsole. So this is pretty standard. I would say it's on the narrower side, but it actually gets a little bit wider here, which is where if you have a wider foot, you might want it, like right in this area, right across here. And then the toe does this thing that I see a lot of New Balance shoes do. It might actually be every New Balance shoe, for all I know. But it's kind of like more of like a squared off or less rounded tapered nose. And I actually like that because most feet, I feel like, do not come to a point. So I find if it does, kind of like America shoes do that, I have a lot of extra room, and with the shoes like this from New Balance, I don't have that. I would say this shoe is very similar to the Boost Knits, if you've skated that from Adidas, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I would say it's very similar to that shape if you like that kind of a shoe. Let's talk about the break-in time for the shoe. So it was pretty much immediate. And that's kind of all I have to say. So right out of the box, it has good flexibility from the middle of the shoe forward. The heel is still a really solid heel, so a lot more solid than some other heels that I've skated in the past. So just know that, it's a solid heel. But right off the box, really the first session, it felt broken in, which I actually haven't experienced that in a long time. So if you like a quick break-in shoe, this is a great shoe for that. And this suede out here is just super flexible suede, so I think that helped a lot as well. So next thing I want to talk about is durability and comfort. Overall, this is a pretty comfortable shoe. It seemed to feel comfortable right out of the box. The heel was just barely elevated enough for my foot to feel secure in place. The tongue is called I think it's a de-stressed tongue, but it has kind of this unfinished look that you can see from a lot of the Nike Blazers actually, like I don't even know if the SB ones do that, some of them do, but it's like this unfinished distressed tongue. I love more padding in the tongue. This was not enough for me to be like, yeah, it's got a good amount of padding in there, but it did have more padding than some of the other tongues that I've skated, like the Adidas Copa Nationals, and kind of like a good amount of shoes actually. So a little bit more than like a thin tongue, but not quite as puffy or cushiony as I would personally prefer. The shoe is very breathable as well, and I think that adds another layer of comfort. So like this material here is actually leather, this white material. So like not the most breathable, but then this all around the front, this super suede or open thin suede feels really breathable, and it even has holes in it here. So if I put my hand under, there is another layer underneath, and it almost just feels like a layer of padding, if that makes any sense. It doesn't feel like another material, it just feels like padding is inside underneath this, which is good, because if it was only this suede with holes, that would be terrible and your foot would probably hurt anytime the board came anywhere near it. But overall, I would say it's a fairly comfortable shoe. I would actually say the comfort is similar to the Vans Ave. It's like that kind of comfort where you don't have quite as much in the toe, but you get a little bit more in the mid and the back of the shoe. And then durability wise, I mean, it's lasting. it's lasting here and there. The flick spot and the ollie spot right over here is fantastic. Like I have very, very little wear, and I've done a decent amount of kickflips in this shoe too. And there's not a lot going on that nose. Like, it looks pretty freaking clean and pretty solid. I'm losing the end to my New Balance, so this is pretty much on its way out here. The heel flip spot is holding up a little bit. I didn't do a ton of heel flips in this shoe because it didn't feel like there was a lot of protection here. So I did like a few practicing on flat ground, you know. But in general, I would have preferred a little bit more there. It is holding up though, once again, in general, considering how much I've skated this shoe. The tread is also in like almost perfect condition. I don't do a lot of crazy like foot setup stuff when I set up for tricks, so I think that actually helps me. But I mean, look at this sole. It's almost in perfect condition. And I've worn this shoe many times in disgusting, crusty dirt, just skating around. So I would actually give it a pretty decent durability rating. Next thing I want to talk about is impact in the shoe. The impact was so-so. Not what I was hoping for in a cup sole, better than I've seen in previous cup soles, but certainly not the best impact that I've seen in this shoe. So I would give it like a solid 7. Without the footprint insoles, maybe a 6.5. I would not go down big gaps or anything like that with this shoe personally. I just don't do a lot of gap skating anymore. So once again, I would need more impact to do that. Next thing we gotta discuss is the board feel and the flick of this shoe. I would say the board feel was actually really decent. It was not quite as thin as the Lakais that I skated, but it was similar to that. And that when I first put them on and stepped on the board, I felt a significant increase in board feel. The board feel is pretty decent. I would give it a solid 8, especially for a cup sole. Coming in at an 8, I think is pretty good board feel. And then the flick was great on this shoe. I don't know why, but for me, the flick was working. Even though this area here is very thin, like it's very in line with the shoe, it doesn't like stick out, it's not bulk at all, it really is like streamlined to the edge. It felt great. I had really good flick. It was very consistent flick. I think this rubber grips really well and this suede grips really well. And I don't know other than that why it was just working for me, but I would definitely give the flick a solid 8. So pros and cons of this shoe in general. There's not a whole lot. I would note that this trim that goes around here is reflective. So that's kind of cool. Maybe if you skate at night and you're getting some cool night shots, like that's working for you. It has these little metal eyelets up here. I did not rip a lace at all in this shoe. I'm just now starting to get a little bit of wear and tear right in that spot. But I think from a lace perspective, I was good to go. Hopefully you'll be good to go too. They're pretty high up on the shoe or in the center, so I think that helps a lot. I personally would have wanted a little bit more cushioning in the tongue. I would have wanted a little bit more cushioning in this area, and I would have wanted a slightly higher or more prong forward heel, but that's getting very nitpicky, and overall, like, it wasn't an issue when I was skating this shoe. Last thing I would note is this is a very lightweight shoe. It's one of the lighter shoes that I've ever skated, and I just wanted to say that's worth noting because when you have something heavy on your feet, it definitely makes a difference. And when you have something light on your feet, it also definitely makes a difference. So if you like a light shoe that has reasonable board feel, okay impact protection, decent cushioning, and a pretty good flick, this would be a great shoe for you. Especially if you like a shoe that breaks in right away, I think this is an awesome shoe. I would also say it's a very clean looking shoe too. Like, it doesn't look too much like a skate shoe, which I'm not saying is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just saying I like the way that the shoe looked. I thought it looked pretty cool personally. So that's about it. I'm gonna leave my thoughts there. I think for the price, if you can get this shoe for a sweet deal, like under 65 bucks, it's a really good shoe and it'll last you a decent amount of time. Yeah, so overall, I'll leave my thoughts there. If you did like this review and you want to see more, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. You can like the video or comment and I'll get back to you. If you have any thoughts on this shoe that you want to share, I would love to hear those as well. These are a few basic clips I threw in at the end just so once again you can get a feeling of what the shoe looks like on the board, but that's about it. I appreciate you all so much. Take care. See you next time.